please tell me how Kamala Harris having Megan Thee Stallion on stage twerking was going to attract white male voters who are the majority voting bloc in this country. Please tell me how that was going to help.
Oh my Jesus Christ. Dude, Kamala Harris doing a rally with Megan Thee Stallion, World War III, Donald Trump a woman, redistributing wealth from the poor to the rich, trying to coup our country and rig the outcome of an election, and calling for the termination of the Constitution, and intentionally crashing the stock market. That's your guy. Well, I don't want to move away from that. I want you to, once again, concede this point too now. You're telling me that liberals lost the election because we're so crazy and we just hate everybody on the right. No, that's not true. We lost the election because of the pandemic.
No, I'm saying Democrats lost the election because the majority of this country, no matter how much you want to be inclusive, I'm a black person myself, but the majority of this country is white men. And the reason why you lost the election is because the majority of white men voted for Trump. Not because of racism, sexism, or anything you want to indicate. It's because of the constant lack of, what's the word I'm looking for? Constant lack of care for the poor / middle class white American man, which is what I came on here to talk about. In the 1970s, a poor white man with no college degree could go work.
Wait, did you just say that? What? Wait, your argument is that liberals lost the election for not paying attention to poor white people?
Is that not what your idol Bernie Sanders said the same thing? Democrats lost the election because they lost the needs of the working class people. Did Bernie Sanders not say that?
So do you think that the working class is like white people? Do you think like the term like working class person is equivalent to the term white person?
No, I can agree.
So then why are you equivocating between working class people and white people?
No. I can concede that. I misspoke. I didn't mean to say white. Like, I put those 2 points together. I'm saying that you lost because of white men. White men voted against you.
Yeah, so I think a big reason insofar as why Kamala Harris lost was white men. So the thing about the left is that the left is really focused on an egalitarian society that would include equality for all. And right now what we see is white men have a lot more privilege than other demographics of people in this country, which means the left is more so focused on ensuring that other demographics of individuals, women, black people, etc., can have the same amount of privilege as white individuals. And that would require uplifting marginalized communities while taking additional, unnecessary, above equal privilege away from white people. And from a position of privilege, equality looks like oppression, especially to an uneducated, ignorant mind. So the left doesn't really center white people. The left centers issues, and white people are not currently experiencing issues to the same extent as white women, black individuals, etc. But as soon as you go over the right, it's all about the white people. I mean, if you watch Nick Fuentes, he'll tell you that you're the most valuable person that's ever lived as long as you're a white man. Listen to Charlie Kirk. He says that he would never trust a black airplane pilot. What does that imply? Well, oh God, I'm a white guy. Oh, he must love me. You know what I mean? And then same thing with a lot of other people over there. They love white guys. You're their best buddy. So that's why I think more white men sway to the right than the left. It's just because they're centered more.
Well, no, I didn't say that to say that the Democratic Party should focus more on the issues of white men. I'm saying that.
Yeah, me neither. I'm also not saying that.
Yeah, I'm saying that you were not able to convince white men, which is why they voted against you.
Yeah, that's definitely a descriptive truth. And I think the reason is because of poor messaging from the Democratic Party and then lying from Trump.
All right, so could we actually talk about the economy now?
Bro, it's like you'll throw out these one-liners, I'll respond to them, and then you're like, anyways.
You literally I literally just said to you that the Democratic Party lost because they were not able to adequately, what's the word I'm looking for? Adequately attract white men to vote for their candidate.
So it's one of the reasons? Yeah, that's true. Okay,
and I'm saying that you're going to keep losing elections as long as you continue down I know we can't speak about LGBTQ issues, but as long as you continue down that road, and you'll continue to drive white men away. Speaking, like, I'm not 100% a fan. Like, I'm pro-choice. I'm all
So
that
the
stuff.
way to drive more young white guys to the Democratic Party is to advocate for more education and critical thought on critical issues. The moment that we can change, the political landscape from accepting beliefs such as the left wants to oppress white guys because they want equality, to more so that everybody deserves the same amount of privilege regardless of your race or gender, and here's why. That is what we should do. That's why critical thought and education are so important, and that's why I'm live streaming right now. Now, I don't really understand the hell you're saying.
Well, no, more so I'm saying that the Liberal Party has been symbolized as this soy, and I'm not calling you that. This is just based on what I've heard in my spaces. This soy boy, beta male, stuff like that, right? So it's so easy for young men to get pushed into the conservative media. This is how I started. I just wanted to watch some gym videos.
Right. I agree with you. Like, the symbolization is like for like young guys, like if you're a Democrat, you're soy, if you're a Republican, you're base type shit. I don't really understand insofar as why any of this is relevant to why you think that the Trump administration is doing a good job.
Because look, I tried to pivot off to the economy, but since we're on this point, please tell me how Kamala Harris having Megan Thee Stallion on stage twerking was going to attract white male voters who are the majority voting bloc in this country. Please tell me how that was going to help.
Oh my Jesus Christ, dude! Kamala Harris has a rally with Megan Thee Stallion, and it's World War III. Donald Trump drives, is buddy with Epstein and Diddy, and he crashes the stock market and barrels us towards a recession and rapes a woman and advocates for economic policies.
That's a whataboutism.
Wealth. None of these are whataboutisms.
You're saying, what about when Trump did this? I'm asking you a specific question.
I'm doing a comparative analysis. I'm pointing out the conceptual fact that I think it's fucking funny that you're like, oh, Kamala Harris doing a rally with Megan Thee Stallion, World War III. Donald Trump raping a woman, redistributing wealth from the poor to the rich, trying to coup our country and rig the outcome of an election, and calling for the termination of the Constitution, and intentionally crashing the stock market. That's your guy. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. Is that the worst thing Kamala Harris has ever done? Done a rally with Megan Thee Stallion?
I'm going to repeat my thing. The symbolism, right? And then look, I understand that the world is sexist.
I want you to respond to what I just said. Tell me.
What did you just say?
I want you to explain to me how doing a rally with Megan Thee Stallion is worse than intentionally crashing the stock market and barreling America towards a recession.
Well, and that's why I said you're doing a fallacious whataboutism, because I've never said it was worse.
Okay. So then why is Trump better? Because that's the question that I'm asking you. Why was Donald Trump a better candidate than Kamala Harris?
How are you going to answer my question with a question? I said, how was Kamala Harris having Megan Thee Stallion going to attract white male voters? You didn't answer my question. You brought up Trump. This is TDS. Answer my question about Kamala Harris.
Okay, sure. If you could demonstrate to me the conceptual relevance of your question, I'll answer it.
Well, the conceptual relevance is that white male voters are 57% of the population, and we all know.
So you're saying that everything that Kamala Harris has to do, it has to be done for the white man?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying
okay. So then explain to me the conceptual relevance of saying how is Kamala Harris doing a rally with Megan Thee Stallion attract white voters?
Listen, look, I'm not saying that at all, right? I literally
that is what you're saying. That is what you're saying. Like, the underlying assumption here is that everything Kamala Harris does has to be specifically designed for the interests of the white man.
Well, that sounds like a great gotcha moment, Dean, but
it's not a gotcha. It's a description of what you're saying. Like, instead of talking about policy, instead of talking about character, instead of explaining to me why you think he's a better presidential candidate, your question is, I want you to sit here and explain to me how very minute, minuscule things that Kamala Harris did were for white guys, which would imply that if I can't explain how Kamala Harris having Megan Thee Stallion at one of her rallies, it wasn't for attracting white men, that's somehow a bad thing. Okay, right? That would be the conclusion of your position. I get cooked by indicating that Kamala Harris did something bad, which means you think if Kamala Harris having Megan Thee Stallion at one of her rallies didn't attract white men, therefore it's bad. What does that mean on a more conceptual level? That if Kamala Harris literally does anything that isn't specifically designed for the attentions and attractions of white men in America, it was a bad thing to do. Therefore, this means that you think that Kamala Harris should have only done things for the intentions and the attitudes of white men in America.
That was the largest reach you ever took in this debate. I'm saying that
logical implications are not reaches. Wait, what? I just want to see what you'd say here. Kamala
You just
Harris,
spoke. You just said
Kamala
like
Harris
three whole
bringing
sentences, and I can't say two
Kamala
words.
Harris bringing Megan Thee Stallion onto one of her rallies didn't attract the typical attentions of American white men. Now, explain to me why that's a bad thing. I'm just curious on what you have to say.
Listen, I'm not saying that it needed to attract them. I'm saying that it effectively dissuaded them. I was a person who was going.
Why would that dissuade anybody? Why should that dissuade anybody?
Listen, I was a person who was going to vote for Kamala, right? But and most of us in the community were. But
that
when we
dissuaded
saw
you?
that, we said this is not. That 100% dissuaded me.
Wait, when you say community, what are you referencing? The black community?
Black community, normal working people, truckers, normal working people. Because as much as we look, I can admit I've seen a whole lot of sexism in my life, especially in the trucking industry.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
I know.
I just want to clarify that Kamala Harris bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage at a rally was what did it for you. That was the red line. That dissuaded you. You no longer consider voting for her. But Donald Trump calling all black people lazy didn't. Donald Trump saying that Obama was born in Kenya with no evidence to try to convince people that they shouldn't vote for him, insofar as the instantiation of the belief that he was constitutionally ineligible to run, didn't. Donald Trump trying to silence the voice and the vote of every single American citizen in 2020 when he tried to rig and steal the election from Biden, didn't. Like, you're telling me that Megan Thee Stallion is a greater threat to the sanctity of this country than saying that all black people are lazy, a black man shouldn't be president, and trying to coup and rig the outcome of an election. I want you to go and explain that one to me.
Thank you. If you would actually let me explain. I'm saying that as a woman, right? And I'm not saying that this is right. I'm saying that this is reality in the world that we live in. As a woman, she was already at a disadvantage with white male voters because they wouldn't take her serious. We've seen it with Hillary. Even though
I'm asking you why this dissuaded you, sir.
Can I finish my point,
No, you're
please?
not, because you're not answering my question. You're saying your red line against Kamala Harris was bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage. I want you to explain how Megan Thee Stallion being on a fucking rally stage is a bigger threat to America than trying to coup the outcome of a presidential election. Let's just start there.
You're doing a whataboutism.
No, it's not a whataboutism. You told me that's what dissuaded you from her to vote for the guy that tried to rig the outcome of an election, meaning that you do not see trying to rig the outcome of a presidential election as sufficient reason to be dissuaded from a candidate, but you do see bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage at a rally as a sufficient reason to be dissuaded from a candidate. I'm asking you a very important question here. Why is trying to rig an election not dissuade you from a candidate, but bringing Megan Thee Stallion on a rally stage is? Why? Like, I want you to explain to me the indiscrepancies there.
Well, number one, the reason why Meg Thee Stallion is such an important deal to me is because it showed her lack of professionalism. So now to speak on to Trump, since you're so obsessed with bringing Trump into this, when we were clearly talking about Kamala, there was no...
Chase, you're going on mute just for that. You're going on mute just for that. Oh, you're so obsessed with bringing the person she was running against into it because every single election between two people is necessarily a comparative advantage? Motherfucker, what? The only way to appropriately evaluate who the better choice inside of an election is to see what they're doing, to see what they've done, to see who they are and what they will do, and then to compare and contrast that with whoever they're running against. A comparative advantage is always necessary in every single discussion of who is the better pick for the presidency in a two-party system. So when I'm asking you why bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage at a rally is worse and dissuades you from Harris to vote for the guy that tried to coup and rig the outcome of an election, it's not TDS or bringing Trump into it when it's unnecessary to do. No, a comparative advantage is necessary.
You realize you haven't answered. This is why the Democrats keep losing, because you're defining my points for me when I'm trying to tell you my points. I'm saying that as the first black woman candidate, I wanted to vote for her. But her lack of professionalism that was already against her. Now, look, there's two things, the Meg Thee Stallion thing and her track record when it comes to sexual relationships, which I wasn't a fan of people using that against her. But I'm saying in the public eye, these are not good things. So I'm going to ask you directly, do you think it was a benefit?
I want to clarify. So, no, because I just want to clarify. So it was, you think that when she brought Megan Thee Stallion on stage, that was a lack of professionalism?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to contest that. I'm going to prove that one wrong because I disagree. But even if it was a lack of professionalism, you think that a lack of professionalism is more of a threat to this country than launching the biggest internal attack on the American democracy since the Civil War?
No, I never claimed that.
Okay,
I
so
actually
can we
agree with
just
you on
agree
that
here?
point.
Can we just agree here that launching the largest internal attack on the American democracy since the Civil War is a larger threat to America than a apparent lack of professionalism?
Yes, I never claimed not to
Okay, so
believe that.
all things considered, even if there was a lack of professionalism, which it wasn't, and now I don't even need to explain to you why, because at the end of the day, in accordance with your views, Kamala Harris was still the better candidate out of the two. Because
All right,
although
but
she
can
almost
you?
started World War III by bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage at a rally, the other candidate was still worse.
But can you at least agree that it was not a benefit for her campaign for her to do that?
No, I think that when you say benefit, what do you mean?
Did she attract any new? Do you think she
Are-
brought
are-
more people
okay,
in?
so this is purely a descriptive statement. So you're not asking me the question, do I think she did a bad thing? Because I don't think that she did a bad thing. I think that trying to connect with your constituents, engage in pop culture is very important. It makes you feel more personable, and it probably would demonstrate that you're more similar to the people that you're supposed to represent than apart, such as growing up with a golden spoon in your mouth as a billionaire. But that point's neither here nor there. The point of the matter is, if you're asking me if it's a benefit, if it got more people to support her or not support her, that question is not
Yes,
relevant.
that's what I'm
And the
asking.
reason why that question is not relevant is because I'm talking to you and why you didn't support her. So please stop equivocating between the two subjects. Why did the people vote against her? I want to talk about why you voted against her. This is a conversation
literally just said
between
it to
Dean
you.
and Chase, okay? So inside of the conversation between Dean and Chase, respond to my question here. What ultimately made Donald Trump a better presidential candidate than Kamala Harris? Because they're telling us that your ultimate red line against Harris was her bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage. So why was bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage a red line, but trying to coup and rig the outcome of a presidential election not a red line?
No, it was a red line on why I didn't vote for Kamala.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I just said.
Can I finish
So
the sentence,
why was that
please?
a red line against her, but Donald Trump trying to coup and rig the outcome of an election was not a red line against him?
If I could be allowed to finish the sentence, I could answer this
I was
beautifully.
just clarifying that we're on the same page.
Yeah. So I said that the reason why I didn't vote for Kamala was because of her lack of professionalism.
Right, that was a red
That's
line. So
number
now
one.
tell me why bringing
Right.
Megan Thee Stallion on stage is worse than trying to coup and rig the outcome of a presidential election.
Which I never claimed. I never claimed that it was worse.
That's the implicit
My
assumption
claim-
here. Because if it was worse, then it
Can I
would be a
finish
red
the
line.
sentence, please, Dean?
I'm just clarifying that you did. That is a claim you're making. It's an implicit assumption because if it
Dean,
wasn't,
you know your audience can see this, right? They can see that you're not allowing me to finish.
sir, I will happily allow you to finish as soon as I can describe to you that you're lying. That is an implicit assumption of your claim. In order for you to argue that bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage at a rally is a red line, but trying to coup and rig the outcome of an election is not a red line, you are claiming that bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage is worse than trying to rig the outcome of an election. Because if you also believe that trying to rig the outcome of an election is worse than bringing Megan Thee Stallion on stage, why is the lesser of the two evil of these actions the red line? That's completely logically incoherent. That's gibberish.